You're watching News at Prime with me, Bongi Wazwan, is standing in for my colleague, Kathy Mutlatlana. The Institute of Race Relations has approached the Public Protector's Office to investigate allegations of maladministration in the Gauteng Education Department. The IRR wants Busisiwe Mkhwebane to look into claims of 1.2 billion rand in irregular expenditure by MEC Panyaza Lesufi's office. It wants the probe to look into three elements, and of course we will be speaking to the IRR's Herman Pretorius, who is going to be giving us a lot more on the story and to this conversation. Of course, right now, both Springboks and the economy are hot issues of late. Moody is recently changing its outlook for the country to negative from stable, and the Boks being crowned champions of the world. Brand reputation management advisor Moeng joins us on the line now. He has recently penned an opinion piece on this. He has called on the country to galvanize behind the spirit of the Springboks to attract desperately needed investment. He joins us now to discuss this. Solly, thank you so much for talking to us this evening. Let's begin here. How do we translate this current euphoria into making it one that is going to be an investment commitment for this country?
Well, thanks, Bongo. We in South Africa keep fighting over things that we should accept. We should accept that South Africa will always be a diverse country, no matter what happens. We should also accept that throughout the world, in the South African diaspora, there are many, many people who are in businesses in North America, in Asia, in Europe, in other parts of the world, in Australasia, who could be good brand ambassadors for South Africa. They could be galvanizing the business communities, investor communities, wherever they live, to encourage them to support South Africa. But they're not going to do that when we in South Africa keep fighting over race, or when we keep excluding one another from proper economic participation. So the Springbok win has shown us that if we really come together to coalesce around common projects, we can be a truly great nation. We can do amazing things together. It's a small thing, but it's happened in 1995, it happened in 2007, it's happening again. And you see how South Africans can be like when they come together. So, I like every brand. South Africa is a country brand. If the employees in a company, for instance, are not happy, in the same way that the citizens in a country are not happy, they are going to be the first ones to sabotage the good marketing messages of the company out there. So when the president goes around the world saying that, we are making a turnaround, we are moving away from state capture and all the bad things, corruption, he needs to have the support of South African communities, whether it's in London, in Toronto, in China, wherever he goes. So that's why I'm saying we can't grow an economy if we continue not embracing all South Africans to be part of that economy.
And Solly, how do we do, especially with the president, how does he then get the buy-in from everyone, particularly if the nation is still so very much divided, even on the Springboks itself, because some of them are saying that it's fake unity, others are saying it's a fake euphoria, which is soon going to wear off?
Look, unfortunately, I think most people, from what I've seen so far, have been celebrating the Springbok victory. I mean, if you've seen the celebrations all around the country, it's just a few individuals who've come together and said, no, let's not celebrate everybody else, just Siya. But Siya didn't win the World Cup on his own. He won the World Cup with a team of South Africans, and we need to embrace those South Africans and others who look like them. We need to, there's a lot of money that's sitting here in South Africa. A lot of people know it, but that money is not being put into the market to stimulate economic activity. People can't put money into the market if they don't trust the leadership of the country. People will not pay as much tax as they would be paying if the trust levels in SARS remain damaged. So we can't win the wars that we want to win by the courts or by noise or by threats. We need to win hearts and minds. And there are many people who are willing to stay here and contribute. Others are out there. Not everybody who's gone has to return, but we need them wherever they are to contribute to sending positive messages about South Africa, but also to endorse the marketing messages, the invitations that we're sending to the investor community to come and to trust us again, to put their money in South Africa. That is not going to happen when those people see how their relatives here in South Africa are excluded by policies that perhaps at the dawn of our democracy were understandable. They were meant to change, obviously, a really bad, painful history. But over time, some of those policies are becoming negative because youngsters, especially if you take a young white South African who's 15 years old, they don't see their future here. They might not be accepted at universities because they don't meet the quota. They won't be able to get government business if they start businesses because they need to be BEE and all of this stuff. So we need to say, how do we take care of yesterday? Because we still have a legacy of apartheid to take care of. Nobody can deny that. But how do you take care of yesterday and the future at the same time so that we don't lose tomorrow because of yesterday? And that is a discussion that many South Africans are not able to have. But we have to have that conversation. We have to say, how do we work together, all of us, in the way that the Springboks did, to make South Africa a winning country, not just in sports, in politics, in business, in the civil society. I mean, there are many, many South Africans of all backgrounds who are doing awesome work to build bridges, to bring people together. And many of them don't do it so that they can appear in front of TV cameras. They do it because they feel it's the right thing to do. We need to create enabling environments right through our South African society for South Africans to contribute to make this country great again.
And Solly, just as a final question, how then does he do this? Because if you look at President Cyril Ramaphosa, there's one thing that, is apparent and you can't run away from not talking about, is the fact that he comes from a political party that in itself is not speaking in one voice. Where then does he go to get the support in order to be able to realize this dream that you're talking about?
Yeah, that's the difficult part. I think, we are a democracy. South Africans must wake up one day and ask themselves if the ANC is still the right party to take this country to where it should be. The fact of the matter is the ANC is like a coalition. There's the Ramaphosa faction and the Zuma faction. You have the ANC, which is forced, I think, to re-employ into government positions people who are implicated in serious criminality against the interests of South Africa. What is Msebenzi Zwane doing heading up an important portfolio committee of government? What is Faith Mutambi doing there? I can go on. A lot of these people are sitting there. They have been redeployed. You see, we have to grow trust. We have to earn the trust that we lost, the credibility that we lost. The reputation of South Africa as a country has gone down tremendously over the. We can't earn that reputation again if we keep doing the wrong things, if we can't be seen to be dealing very clearly with corruption. The president has to be clear what is acceptable for South Africa and what is not acceptable for South Africa. And right now, unfortunately, this president is not clear on those things. So the ANC is the only party that we have, or it's a party that we have that governs South Africa, and it's in a mess, and it cannot regain credibility while it still continues the way it's doing. So the only thing we have is to wait for the next elections and hope that South Africans will make a different decision. Until then, we are stuck.
And Solly, looking at the current investment summit that has wrapped up today, it does look like people still have hope in President Cyril Ramaphosa's vision. Do the pledges resemble that for you?
Well, look, you must understand that there's always a level of government spin in all of this. Look, we were given big figures that were pledged last year, but look at the recently announced unemployment figures, 29%. We haven't seen the impact. So we are giving more figures now, and from what I've seen, a lot of the people who attended the event are South African, South African government employees from various SOEs. I'm not saying that money was not pledged, but we must understand there's a combination of new money. I don't know how much of it is new money, and there's normal capex spending. A lot of the companies said, okay, of course, these are the plans we have for the next 3 years. This is what we're going to do. But we need to see the impact on the ground. We need to get to a point where we're not just impressed by big figures. We need to see where are the small businesses that are being funded.
Unfortunately, there, Moeng giving us his analysis, but we had problems with that line. But from the gist of what he could tell us is the fact that South Africans need to start having a different conversation when it comes to translating this Springboks win to making sure that it is somewhat used to drive investment into the country. And of course, talking about that right at the time when the second investment summit has wrapped up in the country. After the break, we'll talk to the Institute of Race Relations. They have called on the Public Protector to investigate the Gauteng Education Department. We'll tell you why in just a moment.